Hey there, Nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Chieftain, and we're back with another episode of Way of the Underhive. This series is dedicated to helping brand new players to Necromunda build their starting rosters and learn more about the game mechanics of their favorite gangs. And on today's episode, we're doing something a little differently. As you guys have been aware, I've been making some videos that are more narrative-based and a little bit more for just fun, rather than being really competitive or ultra overpowered in most cases. So because of that, I've been looking for some new inspiration in order to create some really fun and some narrative lists to create for you guys, so that way you can try them out in your campaigns in Necromunda. And this one actually came from one of my viewers. This person's name is Frawgenstein, I believe is how it's pronounced. And this player actually sent me an email asking questions about how to recommend using some Warcry miniatures as well as some Warhammer Underworld warbands in games of Necromunda. This player actually was really focused on using two fighters specifically from the Gnarlspirit pack from for Warhammer Underworlds, as well as the Tarantulos brood from Games Workshop's Warcry as well. I want to know how you could best use those in Necromunda. And since, in my opinion, any miniature is a Necromunda miniature, I was really happy for the challenge and actually inspired me and got me pretty jazzed up in order to make up this list. It was actually kind of nice interacting with some recommendations with my viewers in order to make really cool lists like that. So Frawgenstein, if you're watching this video is dedicated to you. So because of that, there are some potential uses with these guys. As you guys are aware, any miniature is a Necromunda miniature, especially if you're a cheapskate like me. Being able to use multiple miniatures for different types of games is always the best way to save the most amount of money, and at the same time, have a lot of fun playing a variety of different games at the same time. So because of that, based on the way that the aesthetic looks for both the Tarantulos brood as well as some of the fighters from the Gnarl pack from Warcry, I basically broke it down to either one of two gangs. You could potentially do an Ashwaste Nomad gang, which would be the one I would highly recommend, and the reason why is because of the insectile and arachnid looking mutations that both warbands actually have from those games. I think that actually make really good Ashwaste Nomads. Frawgenstein also said exactly the same thing about making them into a Ashwaste Nomad gang, and Frawgenstein was asking me opinions about how we could actually make this list really good for using in campaigns in Necromunda. Or you could also use it potentially as a mutant outcast gang as well. Just the mutations alone it allows you to create that. You could use the multiple appendages mutation. You could also use vast bulk. There's a lot of different things you can do with these gangs on this one. And the nice thing of course, is the reason why we're doing this. The whole objective is for you to save money and to use really cool looking miniatures in any of your games of Necromunda. Necromunda is a crazy setting full of all kinds of crazy things that you just don't know what you're going to find around any kind of corner or any tunnel or any dome that's in that place. So having a variety of miniatures like this just only makes the game even cooler, in my opinion. So the first thing we have to do, of course, is talk about the background narrative of this gang. Unfortunately, sometimes when you're a player and you're using proxy miniatures or third-party miniatures or miniatures that are not originally from the game setting, you run into some salty players or kind of weak sauce who'll challenge you as to why you'll be able to use such miniatures on the tabletop. Usually, you don't really have to justify yourself to do anything when it comes to Necromunda because any miniature is a Necromunda miniature, but just in case you run into a person like that, this is the background narrative I'd recommend you use for a group like this. Just simply put, they're mutated Ashwaste Nomads with insectile as well as arachnid mutations. They're out there in the wasteland. There's a lot of toxic waste and radiation out there. It is not a good place, and you can actually see how these mutations can kind of just evolve on their own. Plus, in the Underhive of Necromunda itself, it's also a really bad place too, and we see mutations running around all the time in that setting. So if your opponent gets kind of salty about it, I'd just tell them to take a hike. And of course, an interesting thing you could think of, because they are mutated, they could even be Ashwaste Nomad outcasts. They're not like the normal Ashwaste Nomads. They're too weird for them, and so they kind of kick them out too. So that's also a really interesting way you could approach this gang. Alright, so let's talk about the starting roster. This is the Gnarlspirit pack and Tarantulos brood starting roster for Necromunda for 2024. This is Frawgenstein's Gnarlspirit Tarantulos brood as Ashwaste Nomad gang rating at 2,400 credits. We're using Aranthian succession rules on this one, so that way you can get access to the bumped in credits. Obviously, of course, you can actually make this list much lesser if you need to, if you want to drop down the credit value, but I like playing with like really large gangs or really fully equipped gangs, and I really love the Aranthian succession list building rules specifically for that. In fact, that's why I make a lot of videos about that topic as well. And that's exactly how we're going to use this gang when it comes to the tabletop as well. Now, the assumption that I'm going with this list is, of course, that you're just using both the Tarantulos brood box set and the Gnarlspirit pack box set just by themselves, and you're not going to get any other miniatures. And that's exactly what I went into when I actually made this list. So let's go and talk about exactly the individual fighters from both kits and what you'll be using them for in your gang. First thing you need to know about this list is going to be a very close quarters battle list, meaning a lot of your combat's going to be taking place either with a medium to short range for shooting, or this could be taking place primarily in close combat. You're going to have to really rely on speed in order to close with the enemy for your close combat assets, and for the fighters who do have long range shooting abilities, you're going to primarily exploit hiding in order to protect them, so that way they don't get detected, so that they can shoot at your opponents at long range as well. Now, I will also be talking about specifically which fighters from which box sets will be representing which type of fighter in the gang as well, and we're going to talk about each of those individual fighters next. So first of all, you're going to use the Broodmaster from the Tarantulos Brood box set to be the leader of your game. This guy's going to be your Kha'Tragi Chieftain. This guy's going to cost you 290 credits as well. This character's going to be equipped with mesh armor, so that way they got a 5-up armor save. And they also have a web pistol, because web pistols are the pwn, and at the same time it kind of matches with the overall arachnid aesthetic of the Broodmaster as well. So you can be able to shoot guys and, you know, bring them down with the little weapon that they have. This guy's also going to be very kitted out for close combat. He's going to be packing a long blade, so that way he's got that really good armor penetration on that sword. Plus it's also defensive because he's got parry ability with that long blade. We'll also give this guy a mono hook as well, because mono hooks are absolutely devastating with that 2 damage when you hit your opponent as well. So you're kind of going for like a parry, kind of right hook, left kind of fighting style with this character. They automatically come with ash cloaks as well as sky mantles, so that way it makes it easier for them to hide, and they also get protection from environmental effects. And you give this guy the commanding presence ability. And the reason why you're giving this guy that skill is so that way he has larger group activations. Your Broodmaster will be leading a lot of the close combat elements in your gang, and that's the reason why you want that skill, to exploit that for larger group activations. The next fighter is going to be Sarakar Blackwing. This is basically like the shaman from the Gnarlspirit pack. This guy's going to be your Waitari Stormcaller. The reason why is because Sarakar Blackwing is a shaman in his warband, and a Waitari Stormcaller is kind of like a shaman for an Ashways Nomad gang, so it just kind of translates over very well as well. This character's going to cost you 175 credits. This character's also going to have mesh armor as well for that 5-up armor save, as well as a scavenge stub gun for their sidearm, so that way they can do some short range shooting as well as use it as additional close combat weapon. And they're going to have a Stormcaller staff, so that way you can call the Storm ability, where you spend a double activation to actually reduce the visibility conditions on the battlefield. And plus it also makes a really handy close combat weapon, especially when you combine it with the scavenge stun gun. This guy's automatically come with an ash cloak to survive environmental effects. He's going to be running a dustback helmet to make him faster and actually be able to leap. Now granted, the Sarakar Blackwing character does not have a dustback helmet, but if you look at that miniature dude, that dude's got like some serious quads on the miniature. The dude is seriously muscled out, so you can just tell your players the reason why he can travel as fast as he can, because homeboy does the sprinting in his free time. And at the same time, you're also going to use the ever vigilant skill for this character too, just to make it a little bit more survivable, and that way you can also really help out. Plus it kind of makes sense because he's a shaman. You could say that this guy is like looking at the spirit realm, and that's what's going to help him out to get that skill off as well. Your second champion for this gang is going to be a Doomweaver with the Trident as well as net. So this is the guy who's going to be carrying that long spear, and he's also carrying the net himself as well. He's going to be your Nakutari Watcher. This guy's going to cost you 300 credits as well. How are you going to equip this guy? He's going to have mesh armor for that 5-up armor save, and you're going to give him a web gun. You could just easily say that the webbing that he's carrying around, the net, is his web gun. Web guns are the absolute pwn at strength 5. They also have the web condition, templates. You don't have to worry about aiming. It's absolutely fantastic as well to use that. And he's also going to pack a chain lance for a close combat weapon, because chain lances are really good to use in close combat if you want to fight this character later on with any kind of, well, they don't have vehicle rules for these guys, so never mind on that part. I just disregard what I said there. But you can use that chain lance in order to do good close combat as well. You could web guys, strike them with your chain lance at distance using that versatile trait to take them out of action. All kinds of great stuff. This guy's also got a scavenge stub gun as well, so that we can use it for short range shooting if he needs to, or if you're able to get somehow which is called bulging biceps on this guy, you could use both the chain lance and the scavenge gun, stub gun in close combat. He automatically comes with an ash cloak as well as a sky mantle for environmental protection, as well as for ability to hide. And you give this guy the hip shooting skill, so that way you can do a double action in which he moves twice and then fires the web gun, which is a great type of weapon to use for any kind of template weapons, flamers, venom casters, web guns, things of that nature. And the reason why is because, yes, you do that double movement, but you shoot at your target with the -1 to ballistic skill. But with a template weapon, it automatically hits anyways, so you don't need to worry about that. So that's the best way to use this guy. I would pair this guy up with your Broodmaster as well as with your close combat fighters in this gang, so that way you can go up and then glue guys down with the web gun, and then that way your fighters can come in and just kind of sweep up whoever's left alive and take them out of action. Up next is Lupin Lungcut. This is the fighter from the Warhammer Underworld's warband for the Gnarlspirit pack. This is the guy with that really cool looking insectile headdress that he's actually carrying as well. He's going to be a Tarantulos Dust Rider. He's going to be one of your guys riding a Dustback Helmite, who also costs 175 credits as well. Now this fighter, of course, will be armed with mesh armor, so that way they have that 5-up armor save as well. He's also got a blast carbine. Now granted, the blast carbine is not on the miniature, but you could just say that the giant polearm he's carrying is that he just rides around and he throws that thing, and it has the same strength characteristics, range characteristics, as well as damage as a blast carbine. So you could do that if you want to as well. He's going to obviously pick a chain lance, so that way you could use that same polearm in close combat as well. He automatically comes with a ash cloak in order to protect himself from any kind of environmental effects as well, and he's also mounted on a Dustback Helmite. Now granted, the miniature does not come with a Dustback Helmite, but you could say that the insectile head that he has given him preternatural speed, and therefore he can run around and just kind of stab people and do all that kind of stuff as well. So that's exactly how I'd use Lupan Longcut in your gang. And you're also going to have 2 more Dustback Helmites, Dustback Riders. You're going to use Broodkins with Scythes as well as Spider Claws. You get 2 of these guys in a Tarantulos Brood starter box. The guys have a really curved looking scythe weapons, as well as like these weird like claw offhand weapons as well. You can use both those fighters, and they're going to be your Tarantulos Dust Riders as well. They're going to cost 165 credits before, just like Lupan Longcut. Both are going to be equipped exactly the same with mesh armor as well as blast carbines. They're also going to have chain lances as well as ash cloaks for that environmental effect, as well as the Dustback Helmites. Now for these guys, it's going to be a little bit easier to explain why these guys can move around even though they don't have Dustback Helmite mounts. Is because when you look at these miniatures, they look like spiders. They're arachnids already. You could just say that they've been mutated to make them really, really quick and really fast, and that's why they have the abilities that they do. So in combination with Lupan Longcut, these guys will be like your flankers. Your 3 Dust Riders will basically maneuver around the battlefield, try to get to the flanks, and try to charge through your enemy and destroy them in close combat with chain lances. They also got blast carbines to help them out at distance, so that way they can do some really powerful shooting as well. After that, you're going to have some more Broodkin that you have. These are Broodkin number 1 and Broodkin number 2. These are going to be your Tarantulos Warriors, what these guys are going to be. They're going to cost 135 credits a piece. Now, these guys in the Tarantulos Brood box set, these guys have like these really long spears on their back. They're also carrying looking like a curved dagger and a curved sword in their hands. And that's what you guys are going to use for those to make your Dust Warriors, your actual Ashways Warriors. Now these both guys will be equipped with mesh armor for that 5 armor save, because armor save is important, and it'll also be equipped with long rifles. Now granted, these guys are not carrying actual guns on them, but they do have those really long spear looking things on their back. You could just say that they're using those spears as their long rifles. It has the same strength, damage as range characteristic as a long rifle. Luckily for them, their mutations allow them to just lob these things at super long distances to repel their enemies, and that's what we're going to use for your justification for those long rifles. They also going to have long blades as well, so that way they have a good close combat as well as parrying ability to defend themselves. They also have ash cloaks for that environmental effect, as well as your sky mantles for hiding. Now you're going to use these guys for primarily, they're not going to be doing all that much moving around. They're mainly going to be staying in place using the hidden condition by using those sky mantles, so that way they can snap at your opponents at distance. My recommendation is, as your campaign develops, purchase either infra sights or photo goggles for these guys, so that way they can spam any kind of long range shooting with visibility conditions. Then we also have 2 more Broodkin, Broodkin number 3 and Broodkin number 4. These guys are your spare fighters from your Tarantulos Brood starter box set. These guys are going to be your Rutani Dust Runners. These are like your juvie level fighters in your gang. They're going to be 95 credits a piece. You're going to have 2 of them. They're going to be equipped exactly the same with mesh armor. They're also going to be packing blast pistols. Now granted, you don't see blast pistols on these guys, but pistols are easily concealed. You could say they're just carrying them in holsters beneath their robes or whatever. They're going to be packing long blades because they're going to need that close combat attack, and that armor penetration on those blades are amazing. Plus you got parry that's going to help them defend themselves as well. They also got ash cloaks for their defensive against environmental effects, as well as sky mantles, so that way they can hide. You're going to pair up your brood kin number 3 and 4, your dust runners, with your leader, with your brood master, as well as with your doom weaver with the web gun. This is going to make the second kind of assault team in your gang in combination with your dust runners. So these are the guys who will be going in and engaging enemies in close combat. A really nice way to get your brood kin leveled up, in my opinion, is have your champion open fire with their web gun to web down your enemies, and then that way they're seriously injured. That way all you have to do is send up your dust runners who can finish those guys in a coup de grace, and then they of course get additional experience points on top of that. If you want to as well, you could also experiment by actually replacing the Broodmaster's skill with Mentor skill instead of Commanding Presence. That way they can pass leadership tests and give additional buffs to experience gain for your dust runners if you want to do so as well. It's a really good way in order to exploit that game mechanic and actually help your guys level up. Now let's talk about hang-arounds and brutes real quick. So your Doomweaver, who's got a flail and a goad, which the guy's got like the flail-looking thing and the sword, like really hooked, crazy hooked sword-looking thing for the for the Tarantulos brood. This guy's gonna be your Arthurmite herder. He's only gonna cost you 40 credits. This guy's got mesh armor as well as an ash cloak. He comes with a hunter's polearm, which you could say is that weird-looking sword thing that he carries, and he also has Born to the Waste skill as well. And the reason why you keep the Doomweaver around is because of the buffs they give to any kind of Arthurmite Dune Scuttlers that you actually get in your gang as well. They can either help it learn skills or help it to recover faster. The Arthurmite herder is absolutely fantastic, and it's a great hanger-on. Plus, if you need to, you can actually use this guy in the tabletop as well, and he makes a pretty decent fighter, all things considered. But what you're really getting this guy for is for the buffs they provides for your gang. Specifically, the Arthurmite Dune Scuttler. You're going to use your spider swarms to create your Arthurmite Dune Scuttler. Now, you get 3 little round bases of these spider swarms. Now, you could do it one of 2 ways. Personally, since I'm a cheapskate and I just love spamming stuff, I would just have each individual round base be a different Arthurmite Dune Scuttler. Now, granted, Arthurmite Dune Scuttlers are supposed to be these massively huge creatures, but you could easily say that Arthurmite Dune Scuttlers are just a swarm of little things that just kind of jump on you like land-based piranhas and they just chew you to pieces. You could even say that if you want to as well. Now, obviously, if your opponent gets really hammy about it and gets really salty about it, you could just take all 3 bases and put them base to base to make like a triangular shaped larger type of thing if you want to create your Arthurmite Dune Scuttler. But like I said before, we're in economic times where money saving is really important, so I just say just make every base its own Dune Scuttler. Now, this thing's going to cost you 210 credits. You're only going to be able to start off with one of these guys because your gang is just starting out. It's got heavy carapace armor for that 4-up armor, 3-up armor save. It's got mandibles for its close combat ability. It's got the wall scuttler ability, so that way it can climb around the walls. Hard to kill ability, make it a little bit more survivable. It also has the fearsome skill as well as the nerves of steel skill, and that's just great because your opponents are definitely going to put as much firepower directly into this Arthurmite Dune Scuttler to bring it down as quickly as possible. And these are the recommendations that I would make for you to use your Gnarlspirit pack as well as your Tarantulos brood in making an Ashways Nomad for your first campaign of Necromunda. Alright y'all, there you have it. This is how I would use the Gnarlspirit pack as well as the Tarantulos brood from Warhammer Underworlds as well as Warhammer Warcry in your games of Necromunda for 2024. And like I said before, any miniature is a Necromunda miniature because of how wild that campaign setting is and all the crazy things are in there. Plus, saving money and having fun is what this channel is all about anyways. It is the cornerstone on which I built this entire channel on. And so because of that, I always say I go for it because I always defer the fact of saving money as well. Plus, for all the new young hobbyists coming into the game, a lot of you guys may not have a lot of money and you might have some miniatures already on hand. Just throw them in games of Necromunda. It could be all kinds of fun. You might enjoy yourself because Necromunda is a fantastic game. And as always, please, I take any recommendations that you might want to have as well. Please put them down in the description box down below. If you have a recommendation for some ideas of some miniatures you want to use or some kind of themed gang that you want to see in a video, please put it down in the description box and I'll go ahead and try to make it for you guys. So that way we can bring some more amazingness to the game of Necromunda as well. And once again, thank you very much to Frawgenstein for reaching out and actually contacting me and giving me this recommendation. This really inspired me to actually make this list and I had a lot of fun doing it, so thank you again for bringing this recommendation and thank you again for allowing me to make this video for my channel because it was a lot of fun to put this together. That's good to you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the greatest hobby news related to this channel. That is good for this one, you guys. I will catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.